In this tutorial, you're going to learn from shoot all the way through to post how to create this final image while keeping your subject safe using a technique I like to call simple compositing. My name is Pi, and I'm one of the founders of Lynn and Jersa Photography and SLRLounge.com. We're teaming up with Adorama to bring you a new series of photography tutorials called Master Your Craft right here on Adorama TV. So let's dive in. Hello, my friends. My name is Pi. Welcome back to Adorama TV. It's wonderful being back here with y'all. I wish I could see all of y'all's faces, but I can't. So let's go ahead and dive straight into this. I would recommend pausing the video, downloading the exercise files, which you can find in the description of this video, and let's get started. I like to kind of section out my videos into different parts to make it easy for you all to follow along. And this first part, you can kind of just listen as you're working. I'll let you know when we get down into, hey, you got to pay attention and watch what's going on. This part, I just want you to listen to. So first, why would we want to do a technique like this? I mean, if you actually look, and you will need to look at this part. If you actually look at these two images, we have here our couple standing here on the rocks and here the water coming in. I mean, why not just shoot those in one photograph? Easy enough, right? Well, we composite or use this simple compositing technique for a couple reasons. And not the most important one is because in scenes and situations like this, it can be difficult and sometimes even impossible to get the shot that you want without wasting tons of time. So when the wave comes in, I have to have them holding and staying in that spot with the right expression, the right everything, and that can be difficult. And in other scenes, it's just not possible. Or you spend an hour of your client's time trying to get one single photograph, and that's not doable either. So one is for that aspect. We like to use simple compositing for that. But really probably the biggest reason and the most important reason is safety. See, it's not really safe for my subjects to stand right here. I mean, I shoot in this location often, and I know that probably every 10 minutes when a giant wave comes along, it actually splashes over this part quite a bit. Now, they're not in a spot where they can get washed away, but it is enough water to kind of give them a bad day. So the other reason that we want to use simple compositing is because it's not safe. It's not safe to have our subjects stand in the middle of the street. It's not safe to have them right by where a wave is going to crash. So you can get a shot and move them out within a few seconds, and then you can stay for the background essentially that you want. And that's what we're going to be doing. Okay, now let's talk about how to shoot the image. Let's talk about what you're going to need, okay? This is where you're going to want to start watching the video and paying attention. So first thing, because we're going to be layering images, we want to have the camera up on a tripod. So pick your poison. Really, any camera, any tripod is going to work. In this particular scene, I am shooting this on a 24 to 70 millimeter lens at 24 millimeters. I believe this is on a Canon 5D4. I have it set to half a second, f4, and ISO 200 for my ISO. I want to say shutter speed. Half a second for my shutter speed. Okay, but you will notice, one, there's kind of this nasty green tint going on in the shot, and two, well, how do we get down to such a low shutter speed at f4 and ISO 200, but this looks like really bright daylight, right? Usually that's not possible because if we try to expose and to slow down the shutter that much, in bright daylight situations, the shot just goes completely white. Well, the green should give it away, and I'm sure a lot of you are probably thinking ND filter, and you are indeed correct. And when I shot this, which was actually, I believe, a little bit more than 5 years ago, actually, when I shot this, the ND filter that I was using was decent, but it had a pretty significant color graduation, which is no bueno. Whereas good quality modern NDs are not going to do that. And for an ND filter, I recommend hopping onto Adorama and type in Tiffen Square Water White. I believe it's called the Water White HD ND. Okay, a 4 or a 5 stop is kind of where you want to go with it. Now, what you'll notice from all of my content is that I'll usually get a square ND filter and I just hold it over my lens. The reason is I'm lazy. I mean, that's really the short of it is just that I'm trying to get in and out of locations as quick as possible, and I don't want to use a drop-in filter system or sit there and wait. If I was doing landscape and those type of things, I would recommend getting a drop-in filter system with that. Why the square? Because if you don't get a square ND, and a drop-in filter system, then you're having to get step up and step down rings to kind of screw on the filter onto lenses of different sizes. It's really annoying and obnoxious, and I'd rather just get a square. And for the most part, if you're doing portraiture, holding it over the lens is fine. But I didn't tell you that. Okay, so we're gonna have to correct that in post. So we have this up on the tripod, and you can see my subjects. They're gonna step in for this shot. And then as soon as I get this shot, they step out. And I wait then for the wave. And in this case, let's see how long I waited. This was about 2 minutes. So even 2 minutes of having someone just sit there and wait is a little bit awkward. Like, just chill. Oh yeah, when the wave comes, you guys got to do the right thing and the perfect expression and all that kind of stuff. So I'd rather just kind of separate those into 2 different pieces. So we get our shot of the couple and we get our shot of the wave. And you'll notice that in this shot, there are some lovely bystanders, which we will quickly fix as we go through this process. Okay, so we're done with the shooting side of this. Now the next piece is going to be color grading. So we're going to use Lightroom for that, although you can use whatever software you would like. Let's go ahead and jump into the develop module. I'm going to turn off the information by pressing I. I don't want to make this a full length, how to post-produce type tutorial. So what I'm going to say is just use your favorite preset. I'm going to choose one of the presets from Visual Flow's toolkits. So what we're going to do, I think I want to go with the modern pack. Let's do this first so we can see actual color. Let's take a white balance reading by pressing W and clicking on her dress, and we get to a much better plus 65 tint adjustment. That's how crazy that ND filter was. Okay, so I'm going to go Visual Flow Modern, and let's just darken this down a little bit. That looks nice. And let's see between this versus Crush. Crush is a very intense kind of version. Lots of blues. I think for this one, I actually want to go with just HDR Natural in the modern pack. Okay. Now, Visual Flow is designed by lighting conditions. So I'm choosing HDR because this image has a lot of dynamic range and I want to bring all of it out. So it's a lighting condition based system where you choose the lighting condition the image was shot in and then it adapts it over to it. So if you're using Visual Flow, great. If not, just use your favorite preset to get it to a particular look that you like. Okay, now this is the part where I want you guys to watch because we're going to do some local adjustments here. So what I'm going to do is bring a radial burn in. Now I have a brush set to this. If you've watched my other tutorials, you already know that you should create your own, but this is simply a pinned brush and it drops exposure by -0.5. I'm going to bring that over my couple. I'm going to shrink the size, hold down Alt or Option, and click and drag on that pin to the left to increase the strength of the effect. Here's another little handy dandy secret. In the temperature, I want to get a little bit more blues out of the image in areas that are not where the couple is. So what I'm going to do is just shift down on the temperature by about -10. -10 is right about kind of good and where I want it. And that looks actually really nice. Now, one thing that can happen here is when it feathers in towards your subjects, you can kind of get a little bit of a kind of blue tone on feet and that kind of stuff. So I like to just kind of paint it back over their bodies. So holding down Alt or Option, I'm just painting this brush to kind of remove the mask from the feet. Okay. And you can even like kind of cover this area just a little bit more. The only issue is it's also painting off the exposure. So if we wanted to kind of only control the temperature, we need to separate these two brushes. But I'm okay with just kind of only doing it on feet and dress. Okay, that looks awesome. Okay, so here is that before versus so far the after. Let's go ahead and just straighten our horizon as well. Okay, and then what I'm going to do now, this piece is important. What you're going to do is actually synchronize the colors to your next image. So this is our standard shot, right? We refer to this second shot as our plate image. So what we're going to do is hit previous to grab the settings from the last shot and synchronize it over this one. Now you should notice that if you shot manual and if you shot on a tripod, that both these images are virtually identical, with the exception that we have the waves here and the couple pulled out, but the colors and everything, composition is the same. So this is that place where I'm going to select both images now, right click and edit in Photoshop. You're going to choose open as layers in Photoshop. This is where we're gonna go to our last piece of this technique, which is the Photoshop side. And this is gonna be the composite element. You're also gonna learn why I refer to this as a simple composite, because compositing can be absolutely crazy. I mean, you can spend hours, you can spend days with hundreds of layers inside of a single Photoshop file creating composite imagery. Now at that point, it's more really graphic art than it is photography. It has photography. You know what? Let's just save that conversation. Let's just table that for now. We are into Photoshop, and watch this. This is why it's simple compositing, because all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place the layer that has most everything that I want in the photograph. Now, the shot that has most everything that I want in the photograph is actually the plate shot. It's this one. So I'm gonna click it and drag it to the top. The other thing I want you to do when you first load up Photoshop, you can do this before you move your layer or after, but select both layers or all the layers that you're adding, and you're gonna go to Edit, Auto Align, and press OK on the auto alignment. What this is gonna do is automatically align, and even when you're on a tripod, there's still usually a tiny bit of a shift going on. So this will compensate for that and make it much easier. Okay, so now over this top layer, I want to add a mask, and that mask is going to reveal, so white is gonna reveal this layer, black will conceal this layer and show the layer underneath. So with a black brush, okay, set to a 100% opacity, 100% flow, I'm literally gonna use my mouse just to show you, you don't need a tablet. This is why it's called simple compositing, because watch how simple it is. I'm gonna paint black where the couple is, and you're done. That's why it's simple compositing. Okay, so when you've practiced this technique, and when you follow the steps in here of just putting it on a tripod, shooting your shots, it's literally that easy, okay? So what I'm gonna do is refine this just a tiny bit. I'm gonna kind of click over here and just make sure that the wave and kind of water looks good. You can flip it back and forth by pressing X. I'll have that kind of creep in on them in just a little bit, okay? And honestly, this looks really good. If you want to, you can go zoom in like this and see how we kind of have a little bit of ghosting right here. I'm gonna go ahead and just paint this right here just to make the dress fully opaque. Okay. And then we have this wispy water in motion. Now the last thing that I'm gonna do while I'm here in Photoshop, I've already got that in, I'm gonna press Alt-Control-Shift-E or Option Command-Shift-E to get this to a new layer. We're gonna go ahead and jump over to this rock, this annoying, obnoxious, it's not really annoying or not, it's just there. And we're gonna select it with the lasso tool, press Shift Backspace, and now you're simply gonna go content aware, but turn off color adaptation because I want this to focus on the texture, not necessarily the color in this section. And voila, Photoshop removes it completely from the frame. Our composite technique already removed the people out of it. Now we're just gonna save it and our image is finished. So that's it. Now you've gone from this shot with people in the background, with not the right waves, everything, to this final image. And the purpose of this, remember, is to not only kind of simplify the shoot itself. Sometimes you're gonna spend a lot more time on a shoot trying to pull something off than you would the 5 minutes that it takes in post. In those cases, it's worth doing it in post. I know it's obnoxious to say, but in these cases, it's worth it. Second, and really the biggest piece of this, is safety. This allows us to do certain things to keep our subjects safe throughout the entire process of shooting. There's nothing worse than waking up to a headline that says somebody was hurt or even killed during a photo shoot. It's completely unnecessary. And with simple compositing techniques, you never even have to put them in danger in the first place. So I'm gonna actually build on this technique in a part 2 where we're gonna get a little bit more advanced with it. We're gonna combine lighting techniques with compositing to even blow your mind a little more. In the meantime, I'd love for you to subscribe to the Adorama TV channel. Please be sure to like the video, turn on notifications because I'm going to be posting again next week. We have tons of amazing creators that are posting each day. I'd love for you guys to be notified when new content goes up. In the meantime, you guys can follow me at Born and Creative on TikTok as well as PyJersa on Instagram, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.